Okay, we're now moving on to the last of the infantry divisions. This is the 11th Infantry Division. It is commanded by General de Division Baron Pierre Bertenzi. And let's give you a close in at the figure. So again we have a Perry's command figure for this chap, very regal looking, this guy. I did at one point think about using this guy as Vandamme, but I decided not to because he actually has less decorations, although I do really like his sort of dress frock. But definitely a very cool figure for a division commander anyway. So that is the General Division. Onto the First Brigade. So I'm actually going to move the camera across a little bit. Okay, so First Brigade, commanded by General de Brigade Baron Francois Bertrand Dufour. This is the character figure for him. Again, Perry's, some kind of Perry's command figure. Again, quite a nice figure, I think. And like I was mentioning before, this particular regiment or particular division is made up of all 2 battalion regiments. And the first is, let me just move that out of the way. First is the 12th Regiment de Ligne, commanded by this chap here, who is Colonel Alois Ignance Bourdineau. I believe he's a Calpe. And let's get on to the first battalion. So I think these guys are front rank. I'll zoom in. Old school front rank. However, there is again a mixture of a few other figures in there. I think there's definitely at least one Calpe I can see in there, which is this chap at the back here, lifting his shako on his bayonet. And I'll give you a closer look at the command squad as I always do. So GMB flag, it's been updated to a front rank eagle, although it's possible at this time I was already using front rank eagle, so I might not have had to actually do anything to it apart from perhaps shorten it a little bit. And we can see it looks like we have that's a Perry's eagle bearer, but the rest of it is front rank. Very cool. I do like those front rank troops. So that is the 1st Battalion. Is there anything super special? We also have a sapper on this base. I'm not sure which company this guy's from. Let's try and get it to focus. Possibly Perry's. I think this. I can't remember if this guy had a bayonet on. It's possible that it might have been broken or snapped, and I basically just converted it into him not having his bayonet on. But I really can't remember, to tell the truth. So that is the 1st Battalion. Should move those off to the side. We shall bring up the next battalion, the 2nd Battalion. Oh, I forgot to tell you he was in command of the 1st Regiment. It's one of those ones that doesn't have a first name, so the 1st Battalion was commanded by Chef de Battalion Baron Victor. These chaps, the 2nd Battalion of the 12th, are commanded by a Chef de Battalion Louis Edouard de Beaufort. And looking at these guys again, it looks like again we have a mixture. So it looks like it's a mixture of let's have a look. I'm not 100% sure. Front rank, definitely front rank. Some parries, metal parries. It looks like even some more metal parries, some normal parries, metal troops, and on the command base, again the Fenian flags of war. We have a couple of front rank officers at the front. I do quite like this chap, and Perry's officer in the background for the junior officer. And I think that's a Perry's Metal Sergeant for the NCO. Makes for a nice command group anyway. So that is the 2nd Battalion. On to the 2nd Battalion, or the 2nd Regiment rather. So this is the 2nd Regiment, and these chaps are the 56th Regiment de Ligne. Sorry, not quite in camera shot there. There they are. And Colonel, we have Colonel Louis Francois Joseph Delahaye on a nice white horse. I really do like the idea that I had of separating the colonels from the regiments. Now obviously it doesn't work so well for British regiments, but I didn't like the idea of having a mounted the colonel actually in the 1st battalion, because at the end of the day the battalions are commanded by chefs de battalion, so I wanted to sort of include those and have the colonel as a separate figure. Now I might possibly make some sort of home rule because the colonels are separate when I play Black Powder. Perhaps they can give some sort of extra bonus, or if they fill their orders, perhaps there's a chance that the colonel can do something independently. I don't know, but we'll work that out later. Okay, on to the 1st Battalion then. These boys, let's see if I can identify them. Obviously these are, let me just double check, I think these guys are a swap. No they're not, these guys are originals. Calpe, I think these guys are. So again, this is obviously one of the regiments that was done before I started the revisit project. Calpe, I think this could be possibly my first unit of Calpe that I got my hands on. Instantly fell in love with them. I think, let's just double check. I think they're practically all Calpe. I don't think there's any substitutes in there. We'll just double check. So I'll give you the blurb on it actually while we're here. So this is the, like I say, the 1st Battalion, the 33rd, and it's commanded. No, it's not. Hold on. 56. Sorry. Chef of the Battalion, Andre Enders. And let's give you a closer look at the command squad. So GMB flag for the, as with all the command squads, or at least all the Eagle Bearers anyway. I think all of these guys are, apart from this chap. I don't know. No, I think he's Calpe too. I think they're all Calpe, which is quite rare. I suppose when I did the assuming these were my first Calpe battalion, I actually ordered in the specific amount of troops I needed for a whole battalion. But yeah, there we have a complete Calpe command squad, which is a pretty rare occurrence in the whole corps actually. That an entire regiment will be made of one company's figures. But yeah, definitely very cool figures. Other than that, there's nothing super special about them. So that is the 1st Battalion. Moving to the 2nd Battalion now. These chaps are commanded by Chef de Battalion Girardou. He obviously missing a first name. These boys, I believe, are mostly elite miniatures. However, again, we have a mixture. We've got a Perry's in there, and it probably there's probably a couple of Perry's on the command base. So let's bring it in. So immediately we can see we have two. Actually, we have 3 elite miniatures in this base. So this normal trooper that's been converted into an NCO, the 2 officers, and the Fanion bearer is a Perry's plastic 1815 bearer, who's actually he has actually kept it. I have kept his shoulder pauldrons on in this circumstance. I did actually get into the habit of clipping some off on some of the figures. And really, I suppose I should have really done it on him, but that's what I used to do. When I have a guy with pauldrons on in the command group who's not an officer, I normally paint them white. So that is the command group, and that is the 2nd Battalion. Obviously these chaps have got a actually there is, yeah, like I say, a Perry's drummer on these boys. Yeah, that's them. So let's move these boys out of the way and we'll get on to the 2nd Brigade. And for this I'm going to move the camera across rather than move the miniatures across. So let's start off with the Brigade Commander. So this is him, and this chap is General de Brigade Baron Henry Jacques Martin Lagarde. So let's give you a closer look at him. Again, a very cool figure. Again, Perry's. So there's the Brigade Commander. On to the 1st Battalion then. So 1st Battalion is the 33rd Regiment de Ligne. And let's get going. So commanded by Colonel, let's get him to shot actually, Colonel Alois Ignance Boudinot. So this is the chap who's the colonel. Onto the 1st Battalion, and this is obviously the first iteration. So this was tidied up. It didn't need a massive amount from what I can remember. I think I just basically tidied up some of the strapping. I kind of prefer sort of a slightly darker blue than what I used originally. However, like I say, because these guys were done so late, I think I'd already changed to the darker blue. So they really didn't need too much doing at all. And the only other thing I really did was I just improved the gold on the epaulets and the eagle using Vallejo Shining Gold, because it's just that much shinier than the old gold I used to use. Let's find out who commands this particular regiment. Or battalion rather, is Chef de Battalion Villaine. Show you the command group. So again, we have a GMB flag, and it looks like we have a Perry's Eagle Bearer, a Calpe Chef de Battalion, and a Calpe Junior Officer. And this particular regiment is mostly front rank by the looks of it, but we also have another one of my little Easter egg figures on here, in the fact of we have a female voltigeur officer in this particular group of standard voltigeur, so that's something a little bit different. So that is the 1st Battalion. Onto the 2nd Battalion. Here we have another Calpe It looks as if, again, it's practically all Calpe. Let's see if the command group's all Calpe. Probably not, I'd say. So, 2nd Battalion of 33rd, commanded by Chef de Battalion. Oh, I've already said it, haven't I? No, I haven't. Dojiro. And that's the Perry's. Everything else, I think, is front rank. Not front rank, Calpe. Yeah, I think I've got like 4 battalions of Calpe in my in this corps, and I almost put a 5th in at one point. So that is the 33rd. Now onto the final regiment of infantry. All this corps, all 32 battalions. So we're going to start off with the Colonel. Colonel Claude Joseph Pelsier. This figure is an elite colonel that you get in a battalion pack. Really nice figure. I really liked this figure. And although the horses have got a little bit of an odd-looking head, especially when they're unpainted. They've got a lot of character, the horses from Elite, so I really do like them. So that is the Colonel. First Battalion, again this is the old iteration with some tidying up. It looks like it's mostly, well, it's a mixture of Warlord, no, not Warlord, Perry's plastics and some Perry's metals. If we look at the command unit, we have a Calpe officer there, a Calpe, that's a Perry's officer there, that's a Perry's plastic flag bearer, and that is a Perry's eagle bearer, or eagle protector rather. So again, a little bit of a mixed command squad. And I think, yeah, obviously the drummer is metal as well. So I'll actually move those off to the other side. Bring in the 2nd. So the 2nd Battalion of the 86th. Jacques Joseph Bourdon. I think perhaps I get. Oh, that's the 2nd Battalion. 1st Battalion. Oops. Getting very mixed up here. 2nd Battalion, yeah, Jacques Joseph Bourdon. I think I might have possibly read out the wrong colonel for the wrong chief of battalion for the 1st Battalion, Charles Filbert. I can't remember if I did or not. Anyway, let's get on. I'm just going to leave that lower end because I'm not going to record this whole section again, just for a little bit of a vocal mistake. So here we have the 2nd Battalion. This is kind of a let's have a look. Yes, it's kind of a mixture of 2 different types of elite. Elite in long coat, elite in campaign, and the command group has got a front rank officer. Now this is like, if you remember back, I can't remember which division it was, but if you look back, there's a chap who's almost in the same position as this guy, who I did some conversion on. This is kind of like the opposite version of that particular figure, where he comes with a bicorn rather than a shako, and he also comes with a slightly different sword, which of course is a lot better than that particular version, because I ended up putting a shako onto the guy's head and converting his sword arm. But that's yeah, this is like the 2nd iteration of that figure, and I've got to admit it's although I'd rather have him wearing a shako personally. I do think that overall this design of the figure is actually better. We have a Parry's standard Fanion holder. We have one of those old school Warlord command group figures there. I basically I cut the pistol away from his side and bent his pistol arm up, so it looks like he's in a different position. And also, obviously, I think I changed his sword arm actually on this guy. I'm not 100% sure. And also, I got rid of his moustache to make him look younger. So yeah, quite a nice little, nice little conversion. And I think that is a, I think that's an elite, an all elite figure just converted into an NCO. And yeah, that's the 2nd Battalion command group, and that ends all the infantry. So finally for this division, we have the artillery. So this is the 17th Company of the 2nd Regiment d'Artillerie de Ligne, and they're commanded by Captain Augustin Mier. Both of these guns are Victrix, and you can see these are on my old school, slightly smaller artillery bases. I'm not a massive fan of the Victrix artillery figures, but whenever I do a battery I always have an officer on one stand. And you can see this guy's got a little bit of a bent sword actually as well. I think that could be a little bit of damage from when my cat went rampaging through my original collection. And also snapped off a few artillery tools. I think that got bent, but didn't quite snap off. Then on the howitzer, you can see what I mean about there being not a particularly large amount of room to try and stick figures beside the cannon. I mean, I suppose I could have perhaps squeezed one in, but I just decided to do it the other way around. But I think this chap here is actually in the wrong position for a French gun. But yeah, at least it's a howitzer anyway. I'm sure I can overlook that little mistake. So that is the field artillery. That is the end of the 11th. We now literally have 3 elements left to do. And if I bring the camera up, we have, if I swing to this side, next up will be the 3rd Cavalry Division, then we'll do the Reserve Artillery, and finally we'll do Vandamme. So again, I'm going to cut it here, and we'll be back to continue on with the 3rd Cavalry Division. Catch you then. Okay, so this section is actually going to be the remainder. There's such a small amount of it left now that I might as well just do this all in one shot. Now obviously when you see it, it will all be linked together. So let's get going. So this is the 3rd Cavalry Division. I've probably mentioned it before, but this was detached from 3rd Corps, and it was actually the only part of 3rd Corps to be involved in the Battle of Waterloo. And they actually, for being an understrength cavalry division, actually did some pretty good, performed pretty well for themselves. So let's get going and I'll give you the details on them. So General Division, this chap here, front rank French command figure, very regal, perfect for a cavalry commander. I really do like the fact that his cape covers up a lot of the horse, so it makes him particularly easy to paint too. It covers up all of his saddle, all of the back of his saddle, and also a fair bit of the horse's side. Not that it really matters too much, because I generally paint the whole horse anyway, just leaving a spot of bare metal on his back so that I can stick the guy down. Although I think in this particular case, I think I just stuck him to the horse before I painted him. Normally I don't do that. But let's give you the blurb on this guy. So, General Division, Baron Jean-Simon Domon. Okay, so we have 2 brigades. The 1st brigade is the slightly bigger one. So this is the 1st brigade. commanded by Marshal de Camp Baron Dominique. Actually, the figure that I chose for him. So this is the chap that I chose. I think this guy is from a Staff Officer's Perry's pack, command pack. Perfect, I think, for a Marshal de Camp, which is basically like a straight up general. Not quite as high as a General Brigade. Very cool figure. And the first brigade is made up of 2 regiments or squadrons of chasseurs de cheval. So if I bring the first one forward, this is the 4th. And they have yellow facings. I'll zoom in on them. Hold on. So unfortunately, when I originally did these guys, and I did these guys after, I think I already had the horses done before I finished 3rd Corps, my first iteration of it. But I managed to miss out not only the command figures. I think I had a division commander, but for some reason I missed out the two brigade commanders. I guess being sort of like a little bit of a Napoleonic noob at that time, I figured it was a brigade of cavalry rather than a division, because they've been doing British as well. However, that was corrected. First of all, I corrected it by adding the artillery, which I missed, and secondly, actually quite late, because I did these guys more or less towards the end of the project. With my revisit, I added the missing brigade commanders, and of course the division commander had to get redone because he was actually originally a colonel figure, and he got recycled into one of the regimental colonels on the separate single bases. So yeah, let's get into these guys then. So this is the 4th Chasseurs de Cheval, commanded by a Colonel Baron de Michaels. And this is actually a box of Warlord Chasseurs de Cheval. Not a massive fan, I've got to say. And I think the standard bearer is actually a conversion from using a Victrix French Eagle Bearer's arm. But yeah, they do the job. I'm actually I have plans to do the First Cavalry Division for my French, and I'm actually using metal Chasseurs de Cheval for that, so that'll be a new experience, assuming that I've actually never painted a metal unit of Chasseurs de Cheval. So that is the 4th. Oh. Next up we have the 9th, I believe. Just double check. Yes, the 9th Chasseurs de Cheval, commanded by Colonel Baron de Camont, or Camont. And yeah, these chaps are, I think these guys are, I think they're Perry's. Perry's plastic Chasseurs de Cheval. They have the pink facings. And yeah, they're pretty cool. However, I got to admit, I do actually have the metal Chasseurs de Cheval in already, and they are beautiful figures. I think they could possibly trump the plastics, but then I do kind of prefer metals, to tell the truth. Okay, so that's the 1st brigade. On to the 2nd brigade now. This is commanded by. Oh, I forgot to show you. Oh no, I did. Yeah. So let's give you the figure for the Marshal de Camp. This is Marshal de Camp Baron Rene. And for this particular figure, I decided to have a general that was kind of still in sort of cavalry gear. And if you look at him, he's kind of obviously not historically correct, but I've kind of made him so that I wanted to use a figure that's more in sort of cavalry dress. And I decided to paint him up in the colours of the 4th, as if perhaps he got promoted to Marshal de Camp from being a colonel, and therefore, because of like supply problems or whatever, he hasn't been able to get hold of a full general's attire. so therefore he's made do by just modifying his uniform. So, you know, like he's obviously got the correct shabrack and the pistol holders and the appropriate, you know, he's changed his cartridge sling there for an all gold one. And obviously he's got some extra embroidery on his cuffs and stuff. But yeah, I think this figure is from the ADC pack. But he's a very cool figure all the same. And I was pretty chuffed with when I thought of using him. So that is the Brigade Commander. Obviously this is a small brigade of literally just one unit, or one regiment stroke squadron of cavalry. And this is the 12th Chasseurs Cheval, and they're commanded by a Colonel de Goucher. And these chaps are actually the very first unit of cavalry that I painted. These are the guys that came in my original Waterloo starter set, and I actually converted my command. If you look at the command here, so I've basically given that guy a Victrix trumpet to make a trumpeter, and I've basically used one of the elite heads to make the officer, and I just used some Vallejo plastic putty, and I changed his sword arm. But other than that, he is just a plain normal cavalry figure, and I suppose, yeah, there's nothing else done to him really, but he does the job. And I guess I kept him for nostalgia reasons. Theoretically, I could have you know, swapped him out for perhaps a metal command group or whatever. But yeah, now these chaps didn't actually need a lot of tidying up when I did them. I basically just did a little bit of modifications on the colour of the uniforms. But yeah, that is the 12th, and that completes the 2nd Brigade. Now finally we have the all-horse artillery. So for some reason have I written it down? Yes, I have. This is the 4th company of the 2nd Horse Artillery Regiment, commanded by Captain Dumont. And gun-wise, it looks like I think both of these are Parrys. So we have 2 Parrys guns, and I think this has an extra figure on it. Possibly because I think I brought the Foundry horse artillery figures set. And you get quite a big crew in that, so I split them up between the 2 guns. So this is the first gun, and it has 1 extra crew member. And then the second gun, the howitzer. Actually, no, I think they are both just straight up Perry's horse guns. So yeah, that's that. So that is the guns. Strangely enough, they don't actually have an officer on this particular 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, they haven't got an officer on, which is quite rare for me. However, I'm not going to bother adding one now. It's way too late. But that's the artillery. So that is the 3rd Cavalry Division done. So this time, rather than stopping and restarting, we're now going to go straight on to the next element, which is the Reserve Artillery. So here we have the Reserve Artillery. Command-wise, let me just grab my my little information sheet to stop me from having to look on the bottom of the bases. Now, have I written it down? I don't. Oh, yes, I have. So this is basically the 3rd Corps Reserve Artillery, commanded by a Captain Volley, and this particular command base has been done because it's a little bit undermining just having a captain on a command base. I decided to using this particular staff officer figure from the command pack, Perry's Metal Pack, to set up a scene. So this the officer who's looking through the telescope is actually from Vandamme's command staff, and he is basically the chief of artillery, a colonel. Now I have written this down, but I've lost it. Here we go, Colonel Louis Dojiro, who is the chief of artillery of on Vandamme's staff, and basically I've set up the scene so that he's basically observing the fire, and Captain Villi is there assisting him as the head of the Reserve Artillery. So yeah, I think that was quite a cool idea to do that, and obviously it makes a nice command base for somebody who's actually soloed ranked, that he doesn't particularly deserve his own command base really. So that is the rather cool command base. Now let's go on to the guns. So these are actually the ones that have got the extra added cannon crew. However, first we're going to go for this particular battery. This is made up of Victrix guns. Now the reason why it's made up of Victrix guns is because originally when I ordered the artillery, my very first artillery set, they actually sent me the wrong set. They sent me the pre 1815 one. So basically it's the more or less the Peninsula set that came with the older cannon system. However, it ended up being a little bit of a bonus because you could turn these guns into 12-pounders. So that's basically what I did. So my first two guns were turned into actually, is it 2 guns or is it 3 guns actually? Yeah. So the whole pack was turned into 12-pounders. Now, base-wise, like I said, these guys were on my. These are 120 by 60 bases. And you can see that 60mm gives you a really good room to put figures at the side of the gun, and that's why I basically ended up changing my cavalry, but my smaller gun bases from 50 by 100 to 60 by 100. So it works out really well. And also for these 12-pounders, they also have the blackened barrels. Now the French were very up on any guns that had bronze barrels to sort of keep them shiny. So a lot of troops painted the 12-pounders black, matte black, so that they didn't have to keep polishing them, and also it stops them from gleaming on the battlefield too. So all of my 12-pounders are painted in the dulled black colour scheme, which I think looks pretty cool actually. So that is that's one. You can see that these guys have suffered damage from my cat rampage. We have a bent, almost broken pole there. We have a snapped off artillery sponge there, and I just can't be bothered to change them. If I was to change anything, I'd probably just swap out the complete crew, because like I say, I'm not a massive fan of Victrix artillery crew. And a quick look at the main gun. So this is the stand with the officer on. Again, similar sort of problem. A little bit of damage from snapped off tool, but other than that, no damage. And there's the officer with my rule of 1 officer per battery. So that is the first battery. On to the second. Now this is the one that, obviously this is the Victrix one first. So you can see again the blackened barrel. A little bit of a bent sponge there, but not broken on this particular guy. So that is the first gun. Now the second gun, this is the Foundry Pack. So this is a Foundry Gun and a Foundry crew, and I really do like these guys. They're very expensive. I think all of this was like over £20 just for this gun alone. £12 for the figures, and another £6 for the gun, and then £5 postage. But a beautiful crew all the same, and also good scale as well. They're not luckily they're not the slightly smaller Foundry figures that you can get. So there's the officer, and these chaps have got a crew of 5. Very cool. Definitely one of my favourite, or at least my favourite gun in this particular iteration anyway. So that is the 3rd Reserve, or 3rd Reserve Artillery. And now finally, to finish this video off, and to finish this project off, we have the command stand for the division. So this is General Division Joseph Rene Dominique Vandamme. So this is his command base. I'll give you a real good spin of it. So basically, this chap here with the white feathers is General Vandamme. Next to him we have his Chief of Staff, who is General de Brigade Baron Revest, Jean Revest. And this chap off to the side here is an ADC rushing off to deliver some orders. And he all Perry's figures. This is from I think he's from the ADC pack, and he's very cool figure, very sort of fluid motion, swinging up onto his horse, and of course he is in ADC colours, because I managed to find a page on the internet that was literally like a page. I'm not sure which book it's from, but I think it was from a book. But it had it was really a really cool page actually. It had everything that I needed to know. Within that one page, to give me the ideas to do this guy in the correct colours. So that is the command base, 100mm circular base. Extremely pleased with the way it came out in the end. And yeah, that marks the end of this project. 3rd Corps, it's been a long time in the coming. The original project took me about a year to do 13 regiments. Along with one command figure per. I basically amalgamated by doing 1 regiment per battalion, and then eliminating the 2nd Brigade and bringing those into the 1st Brigade. So you'd have basically 4 battalions of infantry under a single brigade commander. And of course that was quite cool, but when I decided to do the revisit project, that's when I decided that I was going to actually go full throttle and completely finish the Corps as a whole. So every single battalion, including 2nds and 3rds, were done. All the command figures were completely revamped, including the addition of a whole bunch of new ones. All the colonels were individually based and have their own individual figures, apart from the 2nd Swiss, and 1 new battery of artillery, and of course the second time that I've managed to be able to use one of these large command bases, because like I say, I only really use them for like personalities. So like when I did my Brunswickers, the Duke of Brunswick had one of these bases, and Vandamme, even though he's like not a marshal or anything, or not a major personality, he does deserve one of these larger bases. So that is the end. Future plans with the Polionics. I am going to take a rest from the Polionics. However, it does not mean I'm never going to do them again. I've already got plans. I'd like to try and take a couple of months off the Napoleonics. I've got other projects that I could be doing. mainly Team Yankee actually. I've got a whole bunch of Russian forces that haven't been done yet, and I've also got extra elements of my Americans that I haven't done yet. Also, I've got a whole bunch of other stuff that I could be doing. However, like I say, Napoleonics are never far from my mind. I think I find it hard to like completely move away from them. So like I say, I already have plans to do a couple of cavalry projects. One, the French division and a British cavalry brigade. And then at some point in the future, I'm definitely going to be doing another large Allied project. Possibly First Corps, the Prince of Orange's Corps, because I already have the 3rd British Infantry Division and the Guards Division already done. So that's like basically two divisions already done, which basically means it's going to be, you know, a lot of just basically Dutch and some Nassau infantry, Dutch, Belgian, and Nassau infantry. So yeah, that's the end. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, obviously, I'm still not 100% sure that I'm actually going to put up the shorter version of this, because it's very sort of shaky cam. But I will, when I upload it, I'll kind of decide whether to publish it or not. Yeah, that's the end. Thank you to all my viewers. I've now had access to community posts, so I'm now well over the 500 mark. I think I'm like something like 507, something like that. And it seems to be sort of staying there, so hopefully, touching wood, I won't disappear back below again. So yeah, thanks to everyone, and catch you all in whatever the next video will be. So until then, bye bye.